Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome into Around the Bags Edition 5. It's Sunday, April 12th, and last Sunday was opening night as the Cubs took on the Cardinals to open up this season. And now we're getting more into the season, Thomas, as it's already been a week into the season, and Sunday night tonight is the Red Sox and the Yankees, and a little bit more on that rivalry and whatnot ahead. And we have a lot to talk about, though, in this show, even though it's just been 1 week of baseball.
Yeah, it's good that baseball is back. A lot of stuff's happening. The Royals are on a run. It's good to see that. Detroit's also on a run, but it's baseball season now. I'm glad it's back.
Yeah, the Royals are playing out of their minds right now, absolutely tearing the cover off of the baseball offensively, and they're doing it well pitching as well. But we're going to start off, as we do in every segment, with our MLB talk, and we're going to go around the league. There's some good news, coming around, and some negative news as well. And we're going to start off with the Mets' Jenry Mejia was suspended for 80 games for steroid usage, Thomas.
Yeah, I don't know why he's taking steroids. He had a 3.65 ERA last year, which is pretty good ERA. And, the Mets are going to miss him, but I don't know why players use steroids. Irvin Santana, in other news, also got banned 80 games for steroid usage. But, steroids aren't just part. They know they get drug tested. It's part of the MLB and the code of conduct. So there's no reason why they should be taking steroids.
Absolutely. And, you mentioned there, Irvin Santana was suspended about a week. I guess that was April 5th, about a week ago, a little over a week ago. And that was a former Royal in Irvin Santana. And, Irvin Santana is a guy that, he can do a lot. And Atlanta was helping to do a lot, get a lot out of him, in that he's been a decent pitcher for his whole career. He posted a 3.24 when he was here in Kansas City. He did some good things. He didn't have a winning record, but, he did some good things. And then he went to Atlanta last year, had a winning record for him, and really helped that ball club. And Jenry Mejia, not a lot of people know the name, but it just shows you that steroids right now are still a prevalent issue in baseball. And like you said, Thomas, these guys know that they're going to get tested. It's really just a shame that guys continually choose to use steroids and think that they're not going to get caught when Major League Baseball, out of all of the major sports, tests the most for performance-enhancing drugs. There's just no excuse for it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Irvin Santana just signed a 4-year, $55 million deal last year. That's a large amount of money. He went 14-10 last year with a 3.95 ERA. But yeah, I totally agree. MLB, they test just as much or even more as any other professional sport. But guys, see other players get caught using steroids. I just don't understand why guys use steroids.
Yeah, and a lot of talk specifically on a guy in David Ortiz. He's been mentioned a lot of guys thinking that David Ortiz is under the influence of steroids the last couple of years, and David has obviously voiced his what he thinks on that, as he always does with issues in baseball. But a lot of guys are just really getting suspected on steroids, and the league, guys around the league still know that it's there. It's just a sad thing to see that it's still a big portion of what we have in our game today. It's not a good situation, and baseball will crack down and hopefully get it cleaned up a little bit more. We'll move on now here to some news, more news out of Josh Hamilton. And we talked a lot about Josh Hamilton the first couple shows. And the question, Thomas, is Josh Hamilton going to be an Angel anymore? And people are starting to think that, as he still is under, coming off that right shoulder surgery, and he has 3 years, $83 million owed to him. And he turned himself in earlier in the offseason for a relapse in cocaine and alcohol abusage. What do you think is going to be the status on Josh Hamilton moving forward?
Yeah, you said it, that 3-year, $83 million that he's owed. I think that's the exact reason why he won't stay around in Anaheim. This guy used to be an all-star. He used to win an MVP. He won the MVP in 2010. He was an all-star from 2008 all the way through 2012. This guy, he's a ball player, but I mean, we just talked about steroids. I mean, it's not just steroids. You can't do drugs. You can't drink alcohol. I mean, you have a standard you have to live up to in the MLB, and he hasn't been doing that. I'm glad that he came forward and announced that he relapsed, but I mean, he's getting the help that he needs. So, I don't think he's going to stay in Anaheim. I think they want to get rid of that money in his contract. But I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point in that these guys are held to a way higher standard, especially Josh Hamilton winning an MVP, and then when you sign a 5-year, $125 million contract, you're going to be held to some very high standards.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, especially when you're going to LA, where they expect to be in the playoffs every year with good talent all around that team and Mike Trout in that outfield and whatnot, and they want to compete. And this is just another distraction, and Josh Hamilton has to know better. And I would have to agree with you. I don't think that the Angels are going to want to deal with this. I think that once Josh Hamilton comes back from that shoulder surgery, I think the Angels are going to try to get rid of him. The problem is, I don't know who is going to want to pick up that contract because that is just so much money. You look at teams that have been making moves, and you look at like the Padres and whatnot. They've been making moves, but now with their outfield, they don't need another outfielder. So it'll be really, and a lot of the good teams that are playing very well do not need outfielders. So then it becomes a question of, well, does Josh Hamilton need to change positions? Does he need to be a DH? Just a lot of questions there around Josh Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean, that's another option. I don't think there's no way he's going to switch to the infield or anything, but I think the DH is an option for him. But yeah, I mean, I agree, but I think the money's the big thing. MLB is just ran on monies, but yeah, I mean, I hope he gets on the right track. Who knows how long he's going to be out for? That's another thing MLB teams don't know. I mean, if you sign him, who knows how long he's going to be out for? He's just a liability, plain and simple. But I hope he gets on the right track. I think he will. It's good that he's getting help, but good luck to him getting on track.
Right. So there's our talk about Josh Hamilton and continually bringing up negative news around baseball and Josh Hamilton and creating distractions for a good ball club in the Angels that went all the way to the ALDS last year and played the Royals. So we'll see what happens with Josh Hamilton. We'll move on now, as not as big of a news, but it's news in that Felix Hernandez left Sunday's start against the Athletics today after 5 innings due to tightness in his right quadriceps. Do you think this is something or nothing, Thomas?
I hope it's nothing. King Felix is one of the best pitchers in the MLB. He's right up there with Clayton Kershaw. He finished second in the Cy Young voting last year. But I hope it's precautionary. They do that a lot, especially at the beginning of the season with pitchers. They don't want them getting hurt, being out for a long period of time at the beginning of the season. But hopefully it's precautionary. I mean, like I said, this guy posted a 2.14 ERA last year and won 15 games. So I think it's precautionary. They're taking things slowly, and I think he's going to be back soon.
Yeah, and I think that's all you can do at this point. You want to be as precautionary as possible, especially with guy in Felix Hernandez. And his first start of the year, Thomas, he went 7 innings and struck out 10. So that just speaks volumes about his ability to pitch the baseball. But it is a little concerning in that sometimes these guys get these nagging injuries that tend to hang along with them throughout the season. And it is a long season. It's a 162-game season, and we're only 6 games in.
Exactly.
So, you have to think that it could nag along with him throughout the way, and that would not be good for the Seattle Mariners, as they are a very competitive team this year, as he is the front end of their rotation by far.
Oh, yeah.
Other than him, I see Iwakuma. He's a good pitcher as well, but they really needed a true ace, especially if they want to, make a playoff run like I think they are able to do this year. If they're going to want to make that run, they're going to need that ace in Felix Hernandez at the top of their rotation.
Yeah, threw a 2-hitter his last game, like you said, but yeah, he's probably their best player on the Seattle Mariners. He's by far their best pitcher. So I mean, if they lose him for a good amount of the season, it'd be pretty bad for him. They'd hurt a lot from that, but. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he got put on the 15-day DL just for, like I said, precautionary reasons. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and you can't rely on just the offense as well.
Exactly.
You can't rely on just Robbie Cano carrying that team, and Dustin Ackley and guys like that. They need King Felix in that rotation. Hopefully it's just nothing, and hopefully he gets back to doing what he does best, and that's striking guys out.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. We'll move on now to another big injury that most people probably don't know about, and it's Yan Gomes, the catcher for the Cleveland Indians, as he got into a bit of a collision at the plate. He will be out for 6 to 8 weeks with an injury in his knee, and most people don't really know a lot about Yan Gomes, Thomas, but this guy is a ball player.
Yeah, I was looking at his stats last year. I didn't even notice this. He won a Silver Slugger Award last year, He batted .278. He had 21 home runs. People might not hear about him, but this guy's a ball player. But yeah, it was a really unfortunate injury. 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, it's not too bad, but they're going to be hurting. You see those plays at the plate. They tried to, make that rule where catchers can't block the plate anymore to, get those collision at the plate down. But, it happens. It's baseball. Hopefully he'll be back full strength. But yeah, this guy's a ball player. He needs to get more recognition.
Yeah, absolutely. And 21 home runs a got from a catcher.
Exactly. That's
impressive. You don't see that a lot. You'll see guys in Buster Posey and Yadier Molina has the ability to hit for power. Sal Perez has the ability to hit for power.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a guy that would be very vital to the Cleveland Indians offense, as a lot of critics and guys around ESPN and Sports Illustrated and whatnot picked the Cleveland Indians to actually finish ahead of the Royals, and I disagreed with that, but a lot of people picked them, and with the absence of Yan Gomes now, I just see it very hard for them to come out of that rut, as he's a very vital portion in that offense.
Yeah, catcher is a position you don't want to have injuries. Salvador Perez, these guys, they're just signal callers. They do more than just hit. I mean, they call the pitches. They throw people out. They block, bad pitches. They do a lot of things that help your team win. And they're, directors of the infield. They call everything on defense. So, his presence will be missed, and hopefully he comes back full strength. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. And so we're going to move on from that. A lot of negative news there and injuries and whatnot. And Josh Hamilton, you never want to hear the negative side of things, as baseball is always in a good, positive, state. I think baseball is in a great state right now. Moving along with that great state, as mentioned as the show kicked off, Sunday Night Baseball going on right now, as it's the Yankees and the Red Sox. The Yankees put up a 7-run bottom of the first inning against Clay Buchholz and the Boston Red Sox. Masahiro Tanaka is on the bump for the New York Yankees, and in his first game, he lost his first game. Thomas, he did have 7 strikeouts in that game, but right now he looks like he's pitching in full force for them. He'll be a vital portion to their pitching staff as he's coming off that injury.
Yeah, Tanaka, he had that unfortunate injury last year. He signed a contract last year. I don't know how much it was worth, but it was a good amount of money. But he came in. He was supposed to be their ace last year, but unfortunately he got hurt. He did lose his first game last week or a couple days ago, but he's doing well right now. They're going into the 3rd inning right now. A-Rod actually has a double. He has 3 RBIs right now. Chase Headley has 2 RBIs. A-Rod's doing well. He's batting .316 this year.
And that's what I was going to bring up next with you, Thomas, is talking a little bit about Alex Rodriguez and his return. And a lot of people, are not big fans of Alex Rodriguez for obvious reasons. And and me being one of them, I think he's been a very big distraction for baseball. I don't think he's been good for baseball the last couple of years.
I agree.
But overall, so far, in spring training, there were a lot of questions around him. Was he going to be able to perform? And I think he's proven all of the haters wrong, and it's showing tonight. I mean, he already has 3 RBIs on the RBI double. Alex Rodriguez is playing at a pretty high level, considering he's 41 years old, Thomas.
Yeah. We talked about steroids earlier in this episode, but, I mean, I agree with you. There's no need for steroids. I don't like that Alex Rodriguez took steroids. I mean, and he lied about it. It came down to he lied about it. I mean, if he would have just came out and said, I apologize, I took steroids, but, he had to lie about it, and that's why I think I'm more mad than I should be at him. But, yeah, I mean, he's doing well. I heard speculation at the beginning of the season that all the Yankees players and the front office didn't want him to be there, but
Right.
he is proving everybody wrong. I mean, I don't know if they think that of him now. I mean, he's batting .316. I think he has the highest batting average on the team right now. The Yankees kind of struggling, but yeah, I mean, hopefully, we'll see how the season goes for him. He's at the DH position. I think he'll be at the DH position
For most of the year.
Yeah,
I
mean, either that or he's playing at first. But, I mean, we'll see how the season plays out for him.
And the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees, obviously a tradition, unlike any other, a great rivalry. We'll talk a little bit briefly here, Thomas. What is your stance on that rivalry and that the Boston Red Sox continually get guys in Pablo Sandoval, Hanley Ramirez to improve their ball club, and the New York Yankees are just kind of in a rut right now as they have started out the year at 1-4. The Boston Red Sox flipped those numbers around. They're 4-1 atop of that division with the Toronto Blue Jays. What are your thoughts on this rivalry? Is it a rivalry anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I'd still think it is rivalry. I mean, they've had historic games throughout the playoffs and the regular season. I mean, historic players that both played for the Red Sox and the Yankees. Even though one of them's having a down year, I think it's still one of the best rivalries in baseball. But I mean, who knows? I'm thinking I'm a little more of a Red Sox fan because I'm just not a Yankees fan at all. But hopefully the Red Sox do better than the Yankees this year.
Yeah, and we both pretty sure we both picked in our prediction show that the Boston Red Sox would win that division, and with good reason, as they're a very talented team. Here's my thing on it. I believe that it's still a rivalry, and I believe it'll be a rivalry as long as guys like Brett Gardner, a guy like David Ortiz and Hanley Ramirez, these are some fiery players, and especially the Dominican guys, they get really fiery, and things can always happen, especially when you have A-Rod on the team. A-Rod will be a target. He might get beamed here once or twice by the Boston Red Sox, and that might flare up the rivalry again. And, people always say that this rivalry is dead, and then something happens, and the rivalry gets right back to where it was, and it's, no big deal. It's the same old rivalry again. So I think it still is a rivalry, although the New York Yankees are in a little bit of a rut right now. I think their management really needs to find a way to get some young talent and mix that in with their veteran talent, as the Yankees have just been in a rut for a while. We're going to take a quick break, though. That was a good first segment there from news around the Major League Baseball here in the first week. But we're going to take a quick break and get into the Royals, what we all want to hear about in the Kansas City Royals, as they have been playing out of their minds. They've been playing tremendous baseball. We'll be right back. Everybody, we got a good break in there as we had some good talk around the MLB. Thomas Lemanske, Mitch Glessner here. It's Around the Bags edition 5, Sunday, April 12th. And now we really get into the good stuff, Thomas, what we all want to talk about, and it's the Royals, as have been playing so well. The Royals are undefeated to start out the year. The offense is booming. The pitching is absurdly good. They've just been playing all-around good baseball. It's so fun to watch. And this town deserves a team like this. And we saw them go to the World Series last year. And all the questions would be, how would that carry over into this year? And I think so far that the Royals have answered the critics pretty well. And it's carried over pretty darn well.
Yeah, I mean they're picking up right where they left off last year. Man, this is just exciting. They're actually hitting home runs this year. Their bullpen, they're starting pitching. I mean, they're picking off where they left off last year. It's some exciting stuff. They're 6-0. We're tied for first in the division with the Detroit Tigers. But, I mean, I think we'll pull away as the season goes on. I mean, what do you think, Mitchell?
I think it's going to be a tight battle. And, it doesn't help that the Detroit Tigers are going to get a guy in Justin Verlander back in their rotation. Yeah. Once he comes back, that'll make it a lot tougher for the Kansas City Royals. But right now, nothing but positive for the Royals as they have hit 9 home runs, Thomas. That's good for tied for third along with the Reds in all of baseball. And it seemed like it took about 3 months for them to hit 9 home runs last year.
Yeah.
And they're getting it from everybody in their lineup. It's not just like, one guy, Sal Perez does have 3 home runs, but Mike Moustakas, 2 home runs for him. Alex Rios, a home run for him. Eric Hosmer getting into the mix. Lorenzo Cain getting into the mix. Kendrys Morales getting into the mix. And, that's what you really wanted to see. That's why we brought these guys in. Alex Rios, Kendrys Morales, we brought them in, to replace Billy Butler and Nori Aoki and produce on offense. And they've done just that so far. So I don't think you can ask any more of these guys of what they've been doing so far. The only thing that is a little concerning for me right now, you look at the bottom guys in our lineup, average-wise, and it's Omar Infante and Alex Gordon, and I would have to think that that's due to them coming off of their injury. What do you think, Thomas?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think they're both coming off wrist injuries. Alex Gordon didn't even play in half of the in spring training this year. But, yeah, that definitely has something to do with it. Alex Gordon, he's still being limited in the amount of games he's playing this year with Paulo Orlando playing, which Paulo Orlando, his first 3 hits in the MLB were all 3 triples. That's crazy. That he used to be a Brazilian sprinter on the Brazilian national team. Like, holy crap! Did you see that guy run around the bases?
I did not. I did not get the chance to do that.
Oh my, it's insane. But yeah, he's just as fast as Dyson, maybe even faster. But
wow.
Talking about all these guys, I think the playoffs did a lot of good for us last year. It really instilled in us a lot of confidence that you're seeing this year. You talk about Perez, Moose, Kane. I mean, these guys are showing what they can do. They're Perez, Moustakas, Hosmer. These guys were all top prospects coming out of the minors. So the potential was there, and I think the postseason did a lot of good for them last year. And they gained a lot of confidence, and it's showing now what they're capable of doing.
Yeah, and you led right into what I was gonna bring up next, Thomas, in that where is all this confidence coming from? And I think, in my opinion, just watching them, they're playing at a high confidence level, and it's because of them reaching the World Series last year.
Oh yeah,
I think a little bit of it is that, along with the fact that nobody picked them. Really, out of all the critics, nobody really picked them to win the division or really have a chance of getting back in the postseason.
Yeah, chip on the shoulder.
Right, and so these guys are playing with a big chip on their shoulder right now. Buster Olney, Tim Kirkjian, I heard them saying, tonight before the Red Sox game started, that right now they're playing with the biggest chip on their shoulder. And it's really showing, these guys all come out, they show up to play every day, and they're all young, and they all have a lot of enthusiasm. I think just getting to the World Series was the biggest thing for them, especially Mike and Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas, Eric Hosmer, hitting those home runs in the postseason. That just really got their confidence up, and they really, believe in themselves now as hitters and what they were supposed to be coming out of the minor leagues. And
right.
And they struggled early on, and now I think they found that confidence.
Yeah, last year we won most of our games on what? Our defense. It was our defense and our pitching. And our defense and pitching has been there for us this year. But on top of that, now our offense is picking up. We're batting .327 as a team this year, and that's just right behind the Detroit Tigers. So, if you have this offense on top of all that defense and pitching, who knows how good we can be and how far we can go. I'm excited. This is great. I love when the Royals are good, man. It's some exciting stuff.
Yeah, and I made a note. We were talking about that chip on their shoulder type of a thing. A good metaphor here that I would like to compare it to is the Royals are, to me, they're turning from juniors into seniors.
I like it.
You know, you're a junior. Once you're a junior, you know, you want to get to that senior. You have that seniority and get up there, and people will respect you more, and blah blah blah. You don't have to, you know, take as much heat from people, and that's what I think. That's what it looks like to me. They're turning from juniors into seniors, and they really believe that they belong, and without a doubt, they do. They've got great talent all around their ball club. Great pitching. The pitching has been so good so far, and that I think was one of the biggest questions, Thomas, obviously coming into the season, was how are we going to do without James Shields? And do you think that we're almost better off without James Shields?
You know, I wouldn't say that we are better off with James Shields because he won us, I don't know how many games. I think it was like 15 or 16 games last year, but he was a big reason why we got to the postseason last year. But I mean, he did a lot of good for us last year. You know, you talk about your Dono and Danny Duffy. He was a good role model for them. He taught those two guys a lot of good things. So I wouldn't say that we are a better team without him because I mean he's an ace. I mean he's a really good pitcher. But you know he did a lot of good for us. He's started to instill all that confidence in the young guys like your Dono and Danny. But as far as being better, no, I didn't think so.
And, you know, here's where I'm going to disagree with you, Thomas. I know James Shields is an ace. I know he won a lot of games for us and he ate a lot of innings. But I'm going to disagree with you here, and I'm going to say that we are a better off team without James Shields. And the reason being is that I feel like this team, this pitching staff, is more of a collective unit. Whereas last year you looked at it and it was James Shields and then everybody else. And you were relying pretty much every game that James pitched to get that win. But this year, you're relying on everybody, and they're pitching as a unit. You know, Edison Volquez, he shows up his first game at pitching as a Royal. He eats up 8 innings. Great job from him.
Great outing.
Donovan Ventura has been phenomenal so far with 9 strikeouts in 2 outings so far. Jason Vargas, good outing. Jeremy Guthrie, a little shaky, and Danny Duffy, not the greatest stuff from them. But I think that they're all going to feed off each other, and they're all young, like we mentioned, except for you know, Volquez is a little bit older and Jeremy Guthrie a little bit older. But to me, almost James Shields was just too much of the guy last year.
Yeah.
And I think this year not having the guy will make them all pitch and feed off of each other a little bit better. That's how I see it playing out.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have, you know, James instead of Volquez, but, you know, props to Dayton Moore for finding a good replacement in Volquez. I mean, Volquez pitched in one hell of a game, you know. I pitched 8 innings. I think he only gave up like 3 or 4 hits, but, you know, that's what I look at. I mean, I'd rather have James Shields instead of Volquez. Volquez is a good replacement, but, I mean, I understand what you're saying, man.
Yeah, and everybody's talking about the players and whatnot, but let's talk a little bit about Ned Yost here, Thomas.
All right.
Does Ned Yost deserve more credit in this what the Royals have done so far? Does he deserve a little bit more?
When I first saw the Royals starting lineup the first game of the season, I saw Mike Moustakas hitting second, and I saw Alex Gordon hitting. I think he hit 8th, and I was thinking, you know, Ned, come on, man, like what are you doing? But props to Ned. I mean, I think Moose has our third highest batting average on our team. Let's see what he's hitting. He's hitting .333 right now. I mean, as a two-hitter,
I will. Bombs, yeah.
I mean, he had a shot against the Angels towards center 2 nights ago, but you know, .333 at the 2-hole, I would definitely take that. So I do think Ned Yost should get more credit. You know, he's a good coach, and he's part of the reason why we got so far in the postseason last year. What do you think?
I'm going to agree, and then I'm also going to disagree a little bit with you here in that Ned Yost does deserve a lot more credit around Kansas City in general. He's never gotten the credit really that he deserves. He's brought this team, you know, he brought him to a World Series, and he did that with some good managerial moves and getting, you know, good pinch runners and whatnot late in games, you know, throughout the postseason last year. So Ned definitely does deserve credit, but I'm going to almost disagree with you here so far early on in that he's just kind of letting them go out and play. And these guys are just kind of having fun right now. And Ned really is he's just letting them go and they're doing everything with a positive attitude. They're doing everything in a positive manner. Everything's being done well. I haven't seen really any mess ups, really no mess ups defensively. I haven't seen a lot of really terrible at bats. So Ned does deserve more credit around Kansas City, but right now the Royals are just going out and they're having a ball, and it's really showing.
Really exciting.
It's very exciting as they are 6-0 along with the Detroit Tigers. It's going to be a fun year to watch here in the AL Central.
Sure is.
As the Royals and the Detroit Tigers are going to battle it out. That's about all we have, though, for the Royals. They've started out on such a positive note. The sky's the limit for them. We'll see where they can go with it. Hopefully the pitching stays healthy. Hopefully the guys stay healthy. Let's see where they can take this 6-0 start. It would be great to see them come away with first place in the division out of the first month here in the season. But that'll wrap it up here. It's been Around the Bags edition 5, Sunday, April 12th already, getting closer to the end of the semester. I'm Mitch Glessner. He's Thomas Lemanske. We'll catch you guys later next week.